30 to 40% of that list does not need to be there. I guarantee it. And I will also guarantee that there's probably 1 to 2 to 3 things on that list that if you gave that your undivided attention, focus, energy, and action, it'll take care of other things that's on that list too. Welcome to the third quarter, a podcast that is dedicated to leaving the past behind and shooting towards a much brighter future. I am your host, Ace, and I'm excited to be here for you today. I got a great one planned. We talking about how to simplify your life. Your life is just way too complicated. It's too complex. It's too chaotic. It's too all over the place. I really believe the biggest key to change and growth and evolving into a better version of yourself is how simple can you make your life? What are the least amount of decisions that you can make in one day that yields the greatest return on those decisions? And I'm going to dive into what does it mean to truly simplify your life, how I simplify it, and what are some tips I would give you to start simplifying your life today. But before we get into that, if you want to be a blessing to this community and you've been listening for a while, or if this is your first time listening, welcome, glad to have you. But there are 3 ways that you can be a blessing to this podcast. Number 1, if you would leave a kind review. Yes, people do read reviews, especially on Apple Podcast. So that's one way you can do it. The second way would be to rate us 5 stars. That's probably like out of the 3, like 1A or 1B. And then the last one would be to share it. So if you know someone that could use this particular episode or this podcast in general that you love, know, and care about, share it with them because you never know what they may be needing in that specific moment. So I want to thank you so much for your participation and for your investing in this community. Now let's dive into it. Simplicity. I want to start with this. Simplicity and ease are not the same thing. So when I say how to simplify your life, I'm not saying how to bring ease into your life, how to do this with ease. That's what I'm not saying. Okay? I'm not saying make it easy. I'm saying keep it simple. So here's how I discern the differences between the two. Simplicity is about how can I make my life more efficient? How can I get rid of the things that aren't serving me right now? How do I make my life filled with the least amount of decisions possible that's going to yield the greatest return? Ease to me means how can I avoid? How can I make my life pain-free? How can I make it difficulty-free? That's not what I'm saying. You are going to have challenges. It's going to be difficult. You are going to have uphill battles. Okay, that's just how life works. But I believe if you prioritize simplicity, your life eventually gets easier. But if you prioritize ease, your life will eventually get difficult. Okay? Ease leads to difficulty, but simplicity leads to ease. All right? So when you watch people that are thriving, they are goals, I'm willing to bet that their life is very simple. It may seem complex because of all the assets and all of the resources they may have, but the build up to get to that point, their life was very, very simple. And if you're listening to this right now and you are single specifically, your life should be very simple. Your life should not be complex. You should know you should know what you're going to eat the next day. You should know what time you're waking up, what time you're going to bed, where your meetings are. Like your life should be very, very simple. One of the reasons why it's hard for people to progress and to grow is there's too many decisions you have to make. You got too much going on. And what I believe, what has worked for me, especially when I lost the 60 pounds in a year, was I focused on how can I make my life more simple? How can I limit the decisions that I have to make on a daily basis? Because one of the biggest killers, and I want you to take a mental note of this or write this down, one of the biggest killers of dreams is options. It's variety. It's variety and options before you have freedom. Okay? Now, when you have freedom in your body, in your finances, of course, you want to have options and you want to have variety. But before you get to that place, you should not be prioritizing options and variety. You should prioritize simplicity. Simplicity. Keep your decisions straight and to the point. When you're going to a restaurant and you're on some type of, you're on a mission, you're on a goal to reclaim your health, and you're not in a place right now where you have a relationship with food where you can just kind of give yourself some freedom, you go to the restaurant ahead of time, know what the menu is, and you decide before you get into the restaurant, before you are swayed by your friends and family, before you're in that environment, before you have the peer pressure, and you make up your mind before you go in there. That's keeping it simple. You're not being swayed by the menu. You're not being swayed by your friend. You know exactly what you're going to do. That's called simplifying your life. That's making your life more efficient. That's you not getting in your own way. So when you give yourself variety and options before you truly have freedom, that's a recipe for disaster. Okay? And I want you to think about this too. Most people want to go to places without leaving somewhere first. I'm going to repeat that. You cannot prioritize going somewhere without leaving somewhere first. So a lot of people, they want to get to this new body. They want to get to this new career. They want to get to this new relationship. They want to get to this, this newly increased income, but they're not willing to leave the old behind. You can't go to a new house without first leaving the old one. You can't enter a new relationship without leaving the old one. You can't go to a new job without leaving the old one. So before you focus on going somewhere, you have to prioritize leaving somewhere first. So when you're looking at your life right now, how can you simplify it? The question is, what can you get rid of? What can you leave? What can you leave behind right now? What are the closest, most direct, most efficient decisions that you can make right now that you can cut stuff off? What can you leave behind? I know you want to go there. I know. You're going to get there. I promise you're going to get there. But before you prioritize going somewhere, we have to put the attention on what do you have to leave. This is the very first thing that I work on with all my clients because they come to me, they're excited, they made the investment, they're ready to go, and they're like, what do I need to do? And then I tell them, well, before we add anything to your plate, before we start adding principles, before we start adding routines, before we start adding protocols, we need to audit to see what needs to leave first. They're like, what do you mean? What needs to leave? No, I came to you. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to lose the weight. I'm ready to, I know that. I know what you want. I wanted the same things too. But in order for additional things to have more impact, you have to have the bandwidth in order to hold and sustain that. So I know you want to do the cold plunges. I know you want to do the saunas. I know you want the meal plan. I know you want all of that. But you would have all of that if you could keep and sustain that. You would have your goals right now if you can keep and sustain that. The problem is you've been trying to add things into your life without removing things first. You've been trying to move into a new house while still staying in the old one. It can't work that way. So the first thing you have to do in simplifying your life is you have to remove the things that are making it complicated. So when you look at whatever it is you want to do, if you want to simplify your health, you want to simplify your relationship, you want to simplify your business, what can you eliminate right now? What can you immediately do that doesn't involve anybody else to be a part of that? You get rid of it right now. And so when you remove things that immediately you can do, you're going to give space for new things to have more impact because you have the capacity. Growth and change comes down to what do you have the capacity to endure? And if you're overwhelmed if you're trying to take on too much at once, you're not going to have the capacity to endure. Because listen, even if you simplify your life is still going to have hardship. Even when you simplify your life, you are still going to have challenges. Even if you simplify your life, you are still going to have ups and downs. You're still going to make mistakes. You're still going to mess up. Having a simple life doesn't negate you from any of that. It just makes it better and more efficient for you to bounce back and to mitigate the amount of mistakes that you make, because you have the bandwidth, you have the focus, you have the discernment, and you have this space to make change. Does that make sense? So the first thing we have to do is we got to look at, what do I do right now that I can stop right now? What is getting in the way? What is no longer serving me? And also, let's be perfectly clear, that also comes down to people. Who are some of the people in your life that right now in this season are taking up too much space and they don't have any reason to be here right now? It's just familiar. It's comfortable. You've known them forever. I don't know what your reasoning is, but there are some people in your life, or there is a person that has expired. You have to make the decision to either limit the amount of time that you have with this person, or you're going to have to cut this person off. Because the amount of time you are talking to this person, you are with this person, it is making your life more chaotic because it's adding too much on your plate. They're gossiping, drama, or maybe it's someone that you're in a relationship with that, either you guys have to have a dramatic change or this relationship has run its course. Either way, it's making your life more complicated. So what are the people, what are the places, what are the things that we can eliminate right now that is going to make our life more efficient, because it's cutting down our decisions and our decision time? The next thing I would suggest is this. When you want to simplify your life and you've identified the things that you can immediately cut off right now, the people, the places, the things that you can just say no to, and you're done with that. Okay. The next thing I would recommend is you have to come up with your personal mission statement. When you look at a lot of successful companies and brands, they have what's called a mission statement. This is who we're for. This is what we're about. And this is who we're not for. And this is who and what we're not about. Why is this important? Because when you identify your personal mission statement, that this is who I am, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm about, what you're going to do is you're going to pre-qualify people and opportunities that are for you, and you're going to disqualify people and opportunities that's not for you. So think of a mission statement as a vision. This is where you're going, and these are the kind of people and these are the kind of opportunities that makes sense for where I'm going. So when you establish a mission statement, right, you are qualifying who are the right people and the right opportunities that are in alignment for this mission. And this is going to come in handy with the friends you should have right now, the opportunities, the things that you say yes to, and also potential people, if you're single, who you should be dating or who you could allow yourself to date. And that also is going to disqualify people that you should not have in your life right now, opportunities you should be saying no to, and people you should not be dating. Does that make sense? So when you're simplifying your life, you are deducing, the whole point of simplification is deducing what doesn't need to be there and increasing what does. If you have a list of 10 things to do today, 12 things to do today, I guarantee you 30 to 40% of that list does not need to be there. I guarantee it. And I will also guarantee that there's probably 1 to 2 to 3 things on that list that if you gave that your undivided attention, focus, energy, and action, it'll take care of other things that's on that list too. Busyness and productivity are not the same thing. You want to be productive. You don't want to be busy. You don't want to just do things because you got stuff on your plate. You want to do things that's going to serve your vision, serve your season well. And often that comes from making decisions and having things to do that require the least amount of thinking. Again, if you're single, you should not be thinking a lot. Your life should be so simple. It should be so simple. Like you should not be thinking at all. You want to have your days looking as similar as possible. Control the controllables. When you start having variety and options, it just makes things way more challenging than what it needs to be. Okay, so having a personal mission statement, it qualifies who you should be having in your life and what are the opportunities you should be saying yes to or could say yes to. But it also disqualifies the opportunities you say no to and the people that should not be involved in your life right now. This is another way of keeping your life simple. You know that the texting, the calls, the emails, the driving, like, you know, you're driving to a place that you're supposed to go. You're texting and you're talking to someone on the phone that you're supposed to text and call. So it preserves your energy. When you know that your energy is going to the right places and the right people, they're helping you get your cup filled. They're reaching out to you. They're pouring into you and vice versa. These are things that you can have. This is going to help simplify your life. They're not adding drama. They're not adding complexity. They're not adding challenge. They are simplifying your life. When you say, hey, my bedtime is 10 o'clock, they're going to text you and be like, hey, I know you want to go to bed at 10, so let's talk at this time so I make sure that you get to bed on. Like, those are the kind of people you want to have. They help make your life more simple. Okay, so the first thing is you want to identify the things that you can remove right now, because the key to making things simple is not adding things first, it's subtracting. Addition through subtraction. What are the immediate things that we can get rid of right now? That's number one. And number two, what is your personal mission statement? Who are you for? What are you about? Where are you going? And this is going to help you pre-qualify people in your life that are for you and opportunities that you can entertain. And it's also going to disqualify people that you should not entertain and opportunities you must say no to. Okay? The last one is this. And I say this all the time. I'm going to say this again, but I'm going to add something to it. You have to give yourself time, comma, but you must be urgent. Okay? You have to give yourself time, comma, but you must be urgent. Give yourself time to allow your simple life to manifest in the way that it's supposed to. But you need to be urgent in your actions. So even though your life is more simple, your action taking on your simplicity should be urgent. So you want to give yourself time for things to work, allow God to do his thing, but your actions are showing that this all depends on you. So your patience is showing that it depends on God, but your actions are showing this all depends on me. So even though you're being patient for your new way of life to work and unfold, you're being urgent in your day-to-day. So what you'll find when you start to deduce what doesn't need to be there and you increase what does, you're going to have way more time, energy, and focus on the things that matter. And so it's going to be easier for you to take action. It's going to be easier for you to have sustained energy because you're not pouring yourself into things that are depleting you. You're pouring yourself into things that are serving you. And remember, this is not about making your life free of adversity, free of challenge, free of difficulty. This is about making your life more simple so you can handle those things with more effort, intention, focus, and energy. The reason why a lot of people that you look up to look like they handle things with ease is because they make their life simple. It's easier to make decisions when you don't have a lot of options. It is what it is. So to bring it back to my weight loss journey, losing 60 pounds in a year, one of the biggest things that I did was I just cut down my decisions. I didn't give myself variety at the beginning. Like, yep, here's the foods that I'm eating. Here are the days I'm going to the gym. Here's the time. Like, it's so simple. And then once you do that, it has to be a non-negotiable, right? Your mission statement, it has to be non-negotiable. The thing that separates the best businesses and institutions is because their mission statement is concrete. Like, it's non-negotiable. And remember, I talked about this before, and if you're new, I'm going to say it again. When you think of yourself like a brand, everything changes. Parents complain about, how expensive Jordans are. They're too expensive. I can't afford it. Listen, I hear you. But here's the thing. Jordan is a luxury. It's not a necessity. You don't have to have the Jordan shoes. You're not buying Jordans to protect your child's feet from dirt and glass. If you're buying your child Jordans, you're buying them because of status that is going to bring them when they wear those shoes in school. It's status. It's not a necessity. An iPhone is not a necessity. It's a status symbol. So there is no negotiation of value when it comes to a luxury. When something's a luxury item, there is no negotiation of value because you don't have to have it. It's the same thing with you. When you understand your value and you know that you're luxury, there's no negotiation on your mission statement. This is just what it is. You don't have to have me. You don't have to date me. You don't have to do business with me. So, Ace, I want to work with you, but I can only afford this. Oh, I understand that. So when you do have the budget for it, come find me. Like, you don't have to have me is what I'm saying. And I don't have to have you. So when you are urgent in what you do, the urgency is going to come from how much you believe your mission statement to be true. People should see that you're serious about this. My life is simple, man. This is the time I wake up, I go to bed, I do this in between, I'm done. Ace, do you want to do this? No, I don't. Like, when you are in a season of simplicity, yes, to everyone else, and even maybe to you, your life may seem kind of boring, but the freedom that you're going to get in that season is going to afford you the opportunity to have more variety and options later when you have the capacity to handle that. Some of you want to do everything you want to do right now, and you don't have the capacity to handle and to sustain that. You don't. So keep your life simple. If you want to grow, if you want to change, faster, simplify your life. Cut things off that don't need to be there. What is your mission statement? Who are you? Where are you going? What do you want? And allow time in the simplicity to do what it needs to do, but be urgent in your day-to-day. So the whole point of simplification is so the things that you're supposed to do that day get 100% of you. That's one of the things that school, I'm not saying school is good or bad, but here's one of the downsides of school. You're taking 6 to 8 classes in a day. You go from math, the bell rings, you go to science, the bell rings, you go to English, the bell rings, you got lunch. How can a child give 100% of themselves in one subject if they have to do this 8 times? It doesn't work. There's too much, that's too much bandwidth. And then you have a 20-minute break for recess. How am I supposed to give 100% of me 8 times? It doesn't work that way, right? So you want to narrow the amount of decisions you have to make and give those things that's remaining on your plate 100% of you, 100% of your urgency. And that's really what's going to expedite your growth and your change, is how much of yourself do you give to the stuff that actually matters. And when you have too much to do, you cannot give 100% of you. It's just too much. And I really believe if you take the complexity of your life and you simplify it, and you go from having 12 things to do today to 4, it may not seem you're doing as much, but you're going to be gaining way more ground in the end because you're not spread between 12 things and 100% of you. You're doing 4 things to have 100% of you. Like if you had 1 pail of water and 4 seeds that you were planting, you're going to get a lot more out of those 4 seeds than if you had 12 seeds that you planted in the ground and 1 pail of water. Like the odds of these 4 things growing to its highest ability is a whole lot higher than if you had 8 more seeds that you had to water after that. All right. I hope this episode blessed you. I hope it served you. If anyone came to mind, please share it with them. I love you so much. Be safe, be blessed. And thank you for listening to the Third Quarter Podcast.